Hello there, fellow Criterion collectors. Today I have a number of Criterion Collection releases to talk about, all of which have recently been released in the UK as part of Criterion's operations here. Some of these are 4K discs, some of them are Blu-rays, and all of these are available in the US as well. So if you're living in the US, you can take all of these as recommendations to go and pick up the US counterparts. So no matter where you are in the world, hopefully you can take something from this video, especially the Barnes & Noble sale coming next month. So lots of people will be putting together their wish lists. Let's begin with Raging Bull, Martin Scorsese's masterpiece, one of many, that finally got a release on 4K here in the UK. Because this came out about 2 years ago in the US, and I of course had to get a copy there. I've got a UK copy now to replace it with, and the disc is exactly the same. So I'm happy to tell you that the film looks incredible. There's a whole host of great special features, and if you've never experienced this film, it is very, very good. It isn't just a boxing film. I think a lot of people are put off by that because perhaps they've seen Rocky and they don't like boxing, so they think they're not going to like this kind of film. It is much more of a, dare I say, character study with some absolutely incredible direction, cinematography, acting, you name it. This film is good in basically every aspect. The black and white photography looks beautiful on the 4K with the HDR. So an all-around incredible disc. So if you're in the UK, you can finally get this natively, and it is a stellar purchase. Another recent 4K release is Dazed and Confused, Richard Linklater's end of school, summer beginning hangout movie with some incredible characters in the ensemble cast. The film is just perfect for me. It's so fun. It's so easy to watch. I have seen this film countless times at this point, and I love it dearly. I've said before that I was a bit apprehensive when Criterion announced the 4K upgrade. I don't know why, I just thought it wasn't going to turn out that well. In fact, it ended up being one of my favourite 4K upgrades from last year. So to have it here on a UK disc is great for collectors, and I just strongly recommend this disc if you can get your hands on it. If you already have the previous UK Blu-ray from Criterion, then all of the special features are carried across. So there's nothing new here, so you can freely upgrade your old Blu-ray in favour of this. But the film is just so good, and the 4K disc is stunning, so I highly recommend this one to collectors. Sticking with Richard Linklater, we have his film Slacker. This was his feature film debut, finally getting a Blu-ray release in the UK. The film is set in Linklater's hometown of Austin, Texas, and it follows all sorts of different characters, these young people, and all the stuff they get up to. The film is quite largely plotless, so it very much follows the kind of French New Wave style of doing things. Linklater was a big fan of French New Wave, and he's talked about that in interviews and such. So the film is very heavily inspired from that, and this was a key film in the kind of 1990s American independent revival. It's a film I go back and forth on loving, and then sometimes not actually finding it all that interesting. At the moment, I'm kind of on the loving end of the spectrum for this, and I just love Linklater. I just recently watched his latest film on Netflix, The Hitman, and I had a great time with that as well. So I will always watch a new Richard Linklater film, and hopefully we have them coming from many, many years. This new UK Blu-ray is the very same as my older US Blu-ray, except this is in the Digipack packaging. So they've reissued it in just the standard plastic case, but you get all of the same special features and the booklet. And it's probably a good thing because in the UK the Digipacks are more expensive than the standard cases. So we'd end up paying more for the same thing. So in that regard, I think it's a good thing that it has this packaging. So Slacker, a great first film from a filmmaker that I love, and one that I strongly recommend if you are in any way a fan of independent filmmaking. Now a film from one of the all-time masters. It's Dreams from Akira Kurosawa getting a 4K Blu-ray release in the UK. This is a film that doesn't really follow any kind of standard plot as well. It's these little vignettes which are based on Kurosawa's own dreams. The stories presented here are so visually striking And dare I say that out of Kurosawa's entire filmography, here he is doing some of the most visually interesting stuff that I have seen from him. It's a great looking 4K presentation. You get all of the same special features as were on the older Blu-ray. As you can see, there isn't much of a difference to spot. The artwork is the same, the case is the same. So I would say it's worth upgrading if you're a fan of Kurosawa. Otherwise, you might be fine with just the Blu-ray. But for me, I was very happy to get this. Then for the first time on Blu-ray, we got the film Dogfight from Nancy Savoca, starring River Phoenix and Lily Taylor. This is from a 2K restoration. The film is a love story of sorts, an unexpected love story, because we follow this Marine, played by River Phoenix, who is about to go to Vietnam, and he's with his Marine buddies, and they're playing this kind of cruel game to see which one of them can meet the ugliest girl and then bring them back so they can judge, which one's gone with the ugliest girl. So it's obviously terrible, but it's in this vicious game that he ends up finding love. And it's a very touching story, a great period piece as well, and a film from the 90s that I hadn't even heard about, I think, before they announced it. And it's a wonderful surprise. There are some great special features, there's an audio commentary, and some brilliant interviews with people involved with the film. So Dogfight was a real surprise for me, and I hope more people will give this one a chance. Now, perhaps saving the best till last, I have a box set. It's 3 revolutionary films from Usman Sben. This was a recent announcement in the US, and thankfully we got it pretty much around the same time here in the UK. All of these are brand new to Blu-ray here. They haven't been seen before on the format. Sben is a very important figure in African cinema as a whole. He was famous for putting African cinema on the map, basically. And here with these 3 films, the Senegalese director is really mounting a scathing attack on the colonial history of French occupation in Africa. The first film in the set, Emete, is set during the 1940s in World War II, where French soldiers are taking young men from African communities and forcibly enlisting them into the French army. And the real bitter irony here is that the French forces are doing this with the goal to beat the Nazis in World War II for the atrocities that the Nazis have caused on humanity. But here, there is a different kind of atrocity happening, and it's kind of swept under the rug because this is all for the greater good, so to speak. And this first film has some very shocking stuff in it, and it very much sets a primer for the films that follow in the set. The second film in the set, Hala, is a weird one because it follows this politician figure in the community who has erectile dysfunction, and people know about this and he's publicly humiliated, but they need him to fix this in order to be a good figure in society. So there's a lot of satire in this particular film, and it has an ending which is grotesque and oddly darkly comic, and it's just a film that I'd never seen some of this stuff in cinema at all before. It's really provocative stuff. And then in the third and final film, Chedo, Sben is tackling a sort of historical, almost mythological, fantasy-like epic story about a daughter, a princess who has been captured, and people have to go and try and rescue her, and they keep failing. That's the one that I most want to revisit because I feel like I didn't fully get the most from it, but it's powerful stuff, and it's so good to see these being represented now on a global stage. The 4K digital restorations used on the Blu-rays look brilliant. The discs do suffer sometimes from a bit of poor compression. That might disappoint you, but these films are so important that, you have to get this if you like world cinema. I think it is such a great set, and I think by the end of the year, this will be one of the box sets to beat for me. So that was a quick look at some of the recent Criterion Collection releases here in the UK, but of course the discs are the same in the US. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to stick around on the channel and get more Criterion recommendations from me, just click the video that's presented on screen right now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.